Hey YouTube, my Darkness85 here. What's up? This is a video about the Time Lords. Um, I just found out on Yu-Gi-Oh Wikipedia that a set called Battle of the Legends is coming out July 7th, and what's been confirmed so far, some of the cards in that set are going to be used by Zone, and it's going to include these Time Lord cards. Now, I don't know what the TCG effects will be. I do know for a fact that these effects are going to be pretty much slightly trimmed down, just like Card of Demise was when it first came out to the TCG. Because in the anime, Card of Demise, the effect was you draw until you have 5 cards in your hand, and after 5 turns, your whole hand's discarded. But in the TCG effect, in real life, you draw until you have 3 cards in hand. You cannot special summon any monsters. Your opponent takes no battle damage. And during the end phase of your turn, you banish your entire hand. So basically, the Time Lords are going to be okay, but I don't think they're going to be highly regional level competitive, because if their effects are trimmed down, then it will not be as powerful and broken as everyone thinks it will be. Like I know you can only have one of these out at a time, basically. They can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, but however, they can be targeted by card effects but not destroyed by them. So basically, there's like cards. Let's make an example. The summons can be negated. That's another fact. And plus, these cards should have came out like a couple of years ago, because now we have cards like Solemn Strike and Dimension Barrier, and amongst other things, that can negate these kind of plays and destroy them before you can even make a strategy with them. So I'm going to go over each effect of these one by one, and then afterwards I'll tell you guys what I think about it. Ratzion the Time Lord. His effect is this card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. And this is the anime effect I'm reading. I don't know what the TCG effects of these guys will be, but this is what the effect that was from the anime and from Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force 6. You can reduce any battle damage from battles involving this face-up attack position monster from this attack position card, whatever, to 0. If this card battles, return all monsters your opponent controls and all the cards in your opponent's graveyard to the deck. Inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent when they draw a card during their draw phase. You cannot special summon monsters as long as this card's on the field. And during your standby phase, return this face-up card back to your deck. So basically, I don't think this effect's going to be in the TCG. This effect's going to be trimmed down a little bit, I think, because bringing all the opponent's cards back into the deck, that could be helpful, but against certain decks like Metaphors or against the Frog decks, whatever they're called, that's going to really help them than rather help you. So this effect's going to be probably trimmed down, so I don't know if this is going to be playable. The next one, Zadion the Time Lord. His effect is, basically, I'm just going to read its main effect. This card can be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and you take no battle damage involved in battles with this attack position card. If this card battles when your life points are lower than 4,000, your life points become 4,000 during damage calculations, and this returns to your deck at your next standby phase. So basically, if you have less than 4,000 life points, you keep battling with this card in any way, your life points go right back to 4,000. So if you have, like, for example, maybe 800 life points left, you attack with this card, you automatically go back to 4,000 life. I don't have a problem with the effect. I think this effect will stay in the TCG because I don't think it's that broken. So I think this effect will probably remain unchanged. So this effect is this one same, can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and you take no battle damage involved in battles with this card when it's in attack mode, and it returns to your deck at the end at your next standby phase. Its main effect is when this card battles, you select one face-up monster your opponent controls, return the selected monster back to the deck, and inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. In the anime, this effect returns every monster on your opponent's field to the graveyard when it declares an attack, and you lose 500 for each one. But they actually trimmed this effect down in Tag Force 6. So I think this card's effect will remain the same. So if this card is not as broken as it was, so this card effect will remain the same just like that. Let's do this one. Hanion, the Time Lord. Basically, same thing as the other ones I mentioned. Can't be destroyed by battle by card effects, and you take no battle damage involved with this card. Its main effect is when this card declares an attack, inflict life point damage to your opponent equal to the difference between you and your opponent's life points. This effect could be overpowering, so that means this effect will probably be trimmed down as well. Because let's just say, let's make an example. If I had 4,000 life points, no, wait a minute. If I had like 6,000 life points and my opponent had 3,000, then they lose the game. That's too overpowering. So I don't know if this effect will remain when it comes out in July. So I have to get more information. Once I get more information of the effects, when they release more details of that set, I'll make another updated video of this. But for now, all I can say is I don't know if it'll remain. The next one I'm going to discuss is this one. This card can't be destroyed by battle by card effects. And when this card attacks, it returns all spell and trap cards your opponent controls to the deck. So basically, this card's basically like a spell and trap card removal. It's like a giant Trunade, but the cards go back to the opponent's deck, not to the hand. This effect can be overpowering, but the summon, like I said, the summons of these cards can be stopped by like Solemn Strike, Horn of Heaven, and Solemn Warning, and amongst other cards. These effects can be stopped. So that's what I believe is the case. So this card, and when it's also removed, it has a bonus effect. When this is removed from the field, you can draw until you have 5 cards in hand. This effect's going to be probably trimmed as well. Because I don't know, like I said, I don't know what the TCG effects will be. I'm just saying what these effects are right now. And I'm just having a feeling most of these are going to be trimmed down. This one right here, Sandion, the Time Lord. Can't be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and it returns to your deck at your deck standby phase. His effect is, when this card attacks, at the end of the battle phase, when this card attacks, your opponent loses 2,000 life points. And basically, he has 4,000 attack. So basically, you attack with him directly, your opponent will lose 4,000 life points. Then at the end of the battle phase, they will lose an additional 2,000. Excuse me. In the anime, when this attacked directly, the opponent lost an additional 4,000. But in Tag Force 6, the effect only made him lose 2,000. So, pretty good card, but it's going to get trimmed down probably. This card right here. Basically, his effect is, when this card declares an attack, it cuts your opponent's life points in half, basically. It halves your opponent's life points, basically. So, this effect's okay. I don't think it'll get really trimmed down, because this effect's not really overpowering anyway, so I don't have much problem with it. Now this one. Gabrion, the Time Lord. His main effect is, it returns all cards your opponent controls to the deck. This effect is definitely going to get trimmed. Because, like I said, there were cards out there that were once in the anime that when they came to the TCG in real life, the effects were trimmed down to make them playable and less overpowering. Because, like, I'll make some examples. Like, remember when Card of Sanctity was first released in the Lost Millennium back in 2005? The effect was it removes all cards in your opponent's hand and field, and both players draw until they have 2 cards in their hands. So basically, they did, because if Card of Sanctity would have had the anime effect when it was released back in 2005, that card would be banned almost immediately. Draw until you have both players draw until they have 6 cards in their hands. That would be too powerful in this metagame today. Just like they never brought back Pot of Greed and Graceful Charity. And this is why they banned Card of Last Will. Even though they trimmed down Card of Last Will, the effect was still too powerful enough to make it playable in tournament play. So they had to ban that. Same thing with the Temple of the Kings at the time. But now Temple of the Kings is now legal, which I just don't get. So, yeah, that's just so weird. I'm just completely lost on that. Last but not least, Rappion, the Time Lord. His main effect is, when this attacks an opponent's monster, it not only returns that monster to the owner's hand, it also inflicts damage to your opponent's life points equal to the attack points of that monster that was returned to their hand by this effect. This effect's okay. It's probably going to remain the same, but some of these Time Lords' effects are going to be altered a little bit. But some will remain, because the ones with their original effects that will most likely remain is Xandion, Candion, Raphion, and Sandaon. These guys and Michion. So these 5 will most likely remain with their normal effects from Yu-Gi-Oh! Tag Force 6. These 4 might be their effects might be subject to change because of their overpoweredness. Because like these cards, like for example, this guy right here, its effect that makes your opponent return all their cards from their graveyard to their deck. Against certain decks, that can be proved to be fatal if they draw the right cards at the right time. Because it's not really recommended. It's kind of ill-advised. And these 2 right here, this is like the Fiber Jar effect, and this is like the Giant Trunade effect. So, these are going to get trimmed down. So that's what I feel that's most likely going to happen with the Time Lords. Like these 5 right here, I think their effects will not get trimmed as much as these 4 will be. But like I said, I'm not going to make that official. When these cards, TCG effects, get confirmed, maybe sometime either between late May and sometime near the end of June, then I'll make another updated video about it, explaining their TCG effects and my thoughts on them. So I'll have another update on these guys once that information is revealed. So more videos will be coming soon, so subscribe for some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Content. Later, guys.